All right, today we're talking about living a balanced life. It's something that I'm working on, and I would like to share with you guys, I guess, what's happened and how I'm trying to balance myself so that you guys can also have a balanced life. Because really, money is not everything, and making money is nice, but it's not everything. And I know people that are wealthy beyond their wildest dreams, and they'll tell you straight up. And they're also doing very well in life, and it's not because of their money. Money helps, but it's not everything. And today I want to talk about balancing work with life and how that works out. So I tend to be very hyper-focused. I think I have ADHD or something because I just get into hyper-focus mode. And sometimes as a result of that, it actually can be used for very good things. I mean, I think it's helped me with work. I think it's helped me learn a lot and progress quickly at a young age. But also it can be unhealthy because sometimes I'll get sucked into work and I'll go from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. without eating. I'll just be sitting there. And I'm not saying that all of those hours are productive. They're really not, because I'm not taking care of myself. But I can get sucked in. Or I can let my work consume me to the point where I forget to call my mom or my dad or my grandma or my sister as much as I want to. I don't really do other things. So it's very important to have all of your bases covered. And I want to share some strategies that have helped me do that. So the way I look at it now, there are really 4 pillars, I guess, to my life that I'm trying to work on. Maybe 4, I don't know. Health, wealth, relationships. And then I guess the 4th one is spirituality. So I kind of categorize into physical well-being, health, eating right, exercising. Those are the 2 main things I'd say there. And sleeping enough, for example, right? Number 2, we have wealth, which is your job. So am I making money? Am I investing properly? Enjoying my work? Am I productive at work? Am I happy at work, right? How can you do that? Number 3, relationships, calling people, keeping up with people, making time to see friends and family, which is very important because at the end of the day, that's really the most important thing. And then I think spirituality, the pyramid that I'm looking at has a foundation of physical health. So you need to be healthy physically. God forbid we have sicknesses or disabilities that prevent this. Most people, we're healthy. We need to take care of ourselves and stay healthy. That means enough sleep. That means eating the right foods. That means going to get exercise so that you can have energy. And when you do all these things, you stand up straight, you have more confidence, you have more energy. It allows you to perform better at work. It allows you to perform better in school. It makes you more confident, which makes you feel better, which makes you want to work out more. It's all a cycle. Everything's connected. Everything's connected. It all comes from one place. It's a deeper concept though that I don't even think I can get into because I don't really understand it fully. But anyway, once your physical base is taken care of and you're healthy, now you can work on intellectual and emotional. I'd say intellectual is learning, for example, reading. I happen to be studying a lot of Jewish philosophy and concepts recently. I'm trying to balance my work, which is also somewhat intellectual, with learning. And then emotional, I'd say, is not only keeping up with your friends and your family, right? But it's also understanding yourself, making time for just you, making time to understand who you are. Because we all have struggles, we all have challenges, and a lot of them come from undealt with trauma that happened to us as children. And when we just walk around through life and we're getting pinged with texts and phone calls, we watch YouTube and we've got social media and music and everything's going on, it's very hard to just unplug and think about life. Who am I? Who is Jacob? How did I get here? Why am I doing these certain behaviors? Analyzing, how do I react when I feel certain ways? These are all really important questions, especially if you want to get married and have children. You can't be an emotional wreck when you're going out to date. I mean, it's not going to be good. It's not going to make for a good marriage. But it's very hard to have thoughtfulness, especially when we're so sucked into work or our phones. It's very hard to unplug. Doing that's very important, and that's a big part of maintaining healthy relationships between you and others and between you and yourself. And then the very last thing I think is spirituality. I think adding some kind of spirituality to your life is very important. Whether it's a religion, I guess meditation is secular spirituality. Being in touch with your soul, very, very important. So for me, that means starting to pray more. That means going to yeshiva to learn more, to ask more questions, trying to just connect to this infinite higher power, this infinite wisdom in the universe. Those are all the main categories I'd say. Now, how am I working on trying to balance this? Still a work in progress. I think I'm actually not the greatest at this, but I'm working on it, and I'd like to. Part of me making this video is just so that I can share where I am now, and then maybe reflect back in a year and see how this works out. But I'll share some strategies that I use. So I do a weekly mind dump at the beginning of the week. I'd say the first thing I do is a weekly mind dump at the beginning of the week. I also try and separate places for different parts of my life, and I'll explain what that means. So the mind dump is I have all the stuff in my head, and I'm very bad at doing certain things. Like I'm always focused on work or learning, and I don't make time for like doing my taxes, doing my laundry. It just piles up, and then I wait till I'm out of clothes before I do it. Going grocery shopping, like these things kind of get slipped through the cracks. So in order to try and prevent that, on Saturday nights after Shabbat, I sit down and I make a list of everything that I need to be doing that week, including like work, learning, personal stuff. Personal stuff is then segmented into like health, exercise, friends. I kind of segmented out work. I split between Service Bell, which is the company that I'm growing now, along with my YouTube channel is like a side little thing that I do, right? So I segment that. So all these things, I just segment them out and I write down every single thing that I think I should be doing or that comes to my head, and I get it out of my head onto paper. And then once they're categorized, I then try and overestimate how much time each will take, and then I time block time in my calendar for those things based on these 4 elements: work, health, emotional stuff, spiritual, intellectual. And then what I'll do is I'll block the rocks, the most important things that I have to do in my calendar first, and then I add the smaller things around it. There's this concept that if you have a jar and you first put your rocks in and then your pebbles and then the sand, everything will like fall into place. But if you fill your jar full of sand first and then you try and add rocks and pebbles, they won't fit. You have to add your most important pillars to the jar first before you fill everything else in. So for me, my rocks are exercise and taking care of myself, making sure I get my things done at work, very important things at work done, making sure that I'm learning at least an hour or two a day, and making sure that I have an hour or two a day to just be with myself and also with friends and family. So putting those rocks in first and then filling in the cracks with things like, okay, an hour over here for chores, hour over here for this, and having a whole week picture at the beginning of the week, along with reflecting on the previous week, how I did and what I want to improve, is a great way to try and balance everything and give yourself a balance, right? I'm not going to hit my schedule with 100% accuracy. I might not even hit it with 50% accuracy, but let's say I hit 49%, right? I can try next week to get 50%. And 50% accuracy of your plan is way better than 0% or 1%, which is what most people are doing. So I highly recommend a weekly plan. And then every night, because each day is not going to go according to plan, I'll sit down again and I'll try and review the next day based on like what I did or didn't do that day. So that's a very, very good way to do it. And this is also, I'd say last on this point, journaling is very good. I'm not very good at doing it consistently, but when I do journal consistently, I definitely notice I'm much more mindful, less stressed out, and I have more balance, more focus. So scheduling is a great way to have balance. And I think a second way to be balanced is, this is a little extreme, but this is what I do. I don't want to be wasting time on my phone, wasting time on social media. I don't want to be wasting time really ever, because that's all we have. That's the most precious commodity. It's not a commodity. I don't know what I'm saying. Time is the most important thing to maximize, right? Our phones are like time suckers and dopamine suckers. Look at your screen time. You probably spend 2 to like 10 hours a day on your phone. It's insane. To combat that, I have like no apps on my phone except for like phone calls, texting with WhatsApp, Google Maps, calculator, clock, like very basic stuff, and my bank and like that kind of stuff. But there's no YouTube, there's no social media. I don't even have internet on my phone. My phone has no browser and all the websites are blocked. So I have no internet on my phone. So my phone is really just for calling and texting people. And my computer, I leave my computer at my office and I have no computers at my house. This allows me to really compartmentalize and balance my life better. I just started doing this, to be frank, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm noticing great benefits from this already. Leaving my computer here means that when I come to the office, I know that I am going to be working and that's it. I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna crush it, right? Then when I leave and I don't have any internet, I'm not getting distracted by notifications. I don't even have notifications for text messages. I'm not getting notifications coming in on my phone. I'm not getting crazy stuff. I'm not on YouTube. I'm either learning or hanging out with friends or being with myself and reading, or I'm calling relatives. This kind of gives me a way to compartmentalize work and personal stuff and exercise in a healthy way, because I am not good at balance and this is something I'm working on. Maybe you don't have the luxury of having an office or something, but what you could do is leave your computer at a co-working space if you can go to one, or maybe you just only use your computer when you're at a coffee shop. If you can't even go to a co-working space, maybe you work at a cafe, go only use your computer there. When you're at home, don't touch it. Although I will say it's very hard not to use your computer when it's right there. That's why I leave it here, because my office is only a 10-minute drive from my house, which is nice, but it's just enough of a barrier that I'm not going to just always be coming here. I have to really want to come here to actually access the internet. So having that kind of separation, I think, is a great way to also have balance. I think you really need to sit down and write and really understand, like, what is the most important thing in my life? What would I want to be known for when I die? At my funeral, do I want people to say that I'm a millionaire? Or do I want them to say that I was very caring and kind and good and balanced and I had a good balance of family and whatever? Point is, you kind of have to analyze what is really important to you. And I say it's important, but then I also say, I'll do it later when I have time for it. I don't have time. I hate when people say that because we all have time. We have the same amount of time in the day. It's not about not having time. It's about not prioritizing things properly. So that being said, you should make a list of everything in your life that's important to you and prioritize it so that you get it done. That's my take on balance. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a comment down below and give me a like, subscribe, and all that stuff. All right, I'll catch you next time. Peace.